This is E&P Reports, a service of Editor and Publisher Magazine. Since 1884, the authoritative voice of news publishing. And hi again, I'm Mike Blinder, publisher of E&P, and this is a special edition of E&P Reports as we increase the frequency of these broadcasts in order to help provide as much information as we can to the news publishing industry. Gordon Borrell, owner of Borrell Associates, will be our guest today. Gordon has been doing a lot for the industry with new studies, new research, and offering free webinars and training sessions to many associations to help us all get the data we need to serve our advertisers better. As a matter of fact, there is a recording of a recent webinar Borrell Associates did with America's newspapers, our partner in our new website, MediaVirusWatch.com, and that webinar is available for you free of charge right now on that very website. So today we'll chat with Gordon about what he thinks is going on, what he's learning from the data, and what he's picking up from his customers, best practices, and possibly even get him to give us some advice on how we can move forward and maybe even come out of this on the back end a bit stronger. So let's chat now with Gordon Borrell, CEO of Borrell Associates. Hey, Gordon, thanks so much for your time on E&P Reports. Boy, you've been a busy guy. You're not out there playing golf or anything, are you? You've been...
Now is not the time to play golf and kick back and sit at home. Now is the time to lead, as you well know.
And you're working hard. I mean, I've seen you in a lot of different ways supporting the industry. Webinar series for your client media companies, offering free ones, which thank you. I mean, I got to tell you, and that was highly attended as well, right? You're not charging for a lot of these in some cases. You're allowing the industry to get as much data as they can right now to get.
Yeah, you know, my experience, I guess, goes back to when JFK was assassinated. I was only 6 years old, and I watched the world stop for a couple of weeks, and that was interesting. You know, I don't know if a 6-year-old mind was able to really process it, but it did kind of emblazon something in my mind. And then when I was in the news business, the Persian Gulf War occurred, and I was involved with a news information business, and we created information services for military families in the market that I was in. And Mike, the next day I wound up on CNN, and talk about instant fame and getting letters, you know, from people. It was just, so I guess those two things really told me that in time of a crisis, it's an opportunity to move and to lead as the world becomes paralyzed. People need guidance and they need help, and it's a time to jump in and do that. I launched Borrell Associates when the dot-com bubble burst. I thought, ooh, great time to show leadership, because I knew digital was going to be really big and people lost a lot of faith in it. And then we launched our first conference at the height of the Great Recession. And I remember Peter Zalman coming to me and saying, "Oh God, I can't believe it! You launched the conference and it was sold out in New York City."
I remember,
you know, and I thought, if you see things differently, Mike, and I know you do, this is a time of great opportunity, not, you know, in a bad way, an opportunistic way, but this is a time to lead. And anybody who has that energy and that will and that capacity really ought to be doing that and helping the industry out, because Lord knows, you know, the newspaper industry is in a very strong and a very tenuous position. It's strong in that they have newsrooms, they have content, they've had generations of leadership. Now they really need some help. So I'm glad you're out there helping them.
Yeah, later today, we're recording this on a specific day, obviously, and later today, you'll be releasing a webinar for our partner, America's Newspapers, and that's great. And that's going to be on our website, MediaVirusWatch.com. So I thought, rather than diving into the minutia, because I know you'll be covering a lot of data, let's stay at 30,000 feet for our quick conversation together. You're obviously an expert on advertising. I mean, there are other people out there that are analyzing audience, or what have you, or newsroom, you know, operations. You're trying to keep a pulse during all of this through the advertising. I mean, through this crisis on the advertising community. Are the methods still working for you? Are you still able to get the data you need from the advertisers and that while they're holed up? Or, I mean, is Borrell still rocking and getting the data in right now?
Absolutely. We just launched another survey last week. You can survey advertisers, and when you get a link and says, would you like to take this survey? Most of the time, I think people say no. We're finding phenomenal response rates from
Excellent.
advertisers. They need the information. So let me step back to 30,000 feet a moment and tell you why I left the news side of the business to go into the business side of the business. Is that I truly felt that the journalism side of the business, the news side of the business, was probably gaining just a little too much importance and control. And that if somebody in this digital age in the 2000s didn't realize that probably the more important customer base would be the advertisers themselves, that the business would be in trouble. And we're seeing it right now during coronavirus. The method of getting new money for most newspapers now is subscriptions, but they're having to drop the payroll, right?
Yes.
So the people who really are paying most of the salaries of those newsrooms are the advertisers. So once you forget that the most important customer might actually be those local businesses who need your help getting the word out about, hell, it might be sales, it might be whether the doors are open, it might be this or that. So that's why I've been trying to focus on that. This is just a great time to serve that really, really important customer base.
Okay, so at 40,000, 30,000 feet, what have you, overview, everybody's nervous. Are advertisers realizing, and this reminds me of 2008, because my business, you and I were both surging back then, helping newspapers generate revenue. You were issuing reports. I spoke at your first conference back then, if you remember.
I remember.
And one of the things I remember when we finally got out of that crisis, and this was a Coopers and Lybrand study, that it was clear those that marketed through it came out of it much stronger. Are businesses realizing that now, or are they going to be pulling back? And again, would this hurt them? I mean, what is that overall message at 30,000 feet that we should be telling these advertisers?
Well, there are some key examples. The two that we used during our webinar was the Kellogg and Post from 100 years ago, when Post was the big brand name in cereals, and they used, tell me if this sounds familiar, during a horrible, downturn in the economy and nobody was buying anything. And there was a new medium of the day out there that everybody was using, which happened to be radio. Post did the predictable thing and cut back, and Kellogg said, "Oh, hell no,
Yeah.
we're gonna advertise," and they stole market share. Fast forward to the .com or 9/11.
Right.
9/11 was a period when everybody was going, "Oh my God, the world is falling apart. Everything needs to be cut back." GM said, "No, let's launch a campaign called Keep America Rolling Again. We'll drop the interest rates to zero. We'll make it easy to get a car." They sold 1 million new units from September to the end of December. It was like unheard of. So, Mike, that message is out there. I think loads of people in local markets, local businesses kind of have heard that and know that. The problem is, as you deliver it to them as, say, a newspaper, they're going, "Oh, here comes some clown that just wants me to spend more money with him." So that's not quite the message. The message is, well, here are a couple examples. You probably already know about them. I think you have to jump quickly to ideas. So it's an HVAC guy. What can an HVAC guy do right now? You can be creative. It's a pizza, shop. There's a Manhattan pizza shop that is now selling 2 pizzas instead of 1. So everybody who comes in gets 2 pizzas. Why? Because they say, "Okay, well, thanks for ordering this pie. We'll deliver it to you. Would you like to order another one and volunteer to give it to volunteers at such and such a hospital? They're so busy. We're trying to get food to them." Oh yeah, that's a great thing to do. They just sold 2. And there's so many ideas like that, so many things that you can do. We're open for business. We now deliver. We're not open for business, but you can use our online site. Other creative contests like show us your funniest picture from working at home, and we will give you a free landscaping assessment or something
Excellent.
like that. And you gain customer lists that way. So it's a great, great opportunity. But what I'm telling you is, you have to come up, you're the media company, you've got to come up with the ideas. They're looking at you to be a marketer to help them. First, empathize with them. That's really important. "Yeah, we're feeling it too. How you doing?" Everybody wants to talk right now.
Right.
And the other is, give them ideas. Everybody needs a leader right now. Be the leader. Start giving them ideas, start bouncing things off them, and be there to help them out.
This is a good time also for the sales rep to in my opinion, I've been doing this for many years as well, to develop a really good relationship with that small business by actually saying things like, maybe you should be using this media as well. Maybe allowing them to understand that you're there to care about them rather than just try to sell them. Because these business owners now, I think they're looking for a relationship with someone, don't you? I mean, I remember one of your slides I saw recently where you were saying, where are they getting their advice from? And you said this, and a guy down the street named Daryl. Is that?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. They equate the research shows that they equate their website with advertising, and it's actually not. And so the person, Daryl, who is doing their website, think about it. If Daryl's doing their website and they equate their website with advertising, they're probably going to ask Daryl about marketing advice. And do you think Daryl, who is probably 24 years old and has never listened to radio or read a newspaper in his life, and only gets most of his information from the Xbox, and when that advertiser says, "Hey, Daryl, do you think I should be buying some newspaper ads?" What do you think Daryl's going to say? So it's important to get out there and create that relationship and help them with some of these other products. Might be their website, might be SEO, might be everything else, and to truly help them, not always just steer them to the print product as the answer. They're a little more savvy than that, and they see through that type of pitch.
Now, not to steal the thunder of your webinars, but could you list, and I think I already know the list, I hope I know it, the top business categories that you believe right now would be the best to target for any media company, newspaper, radio, TV, signage, anything?
Sure. They really kind of fall into two different types. One is those in crisis and those who can take advantage of the crisis. Those in crisis would be any business that happens to be around a population center, like a sports arena or a shopping mall, where people drop in and do something because it's a center and they're not doing it. So those businesses would be anything that you would expect. Some of them are food related, some of them are retail, but those are the ones that are hurting. And the opportunity with them is to be creative, to get the word out that they're still open if they are, or when they're going to open, or to go to them and say, we really want to help you now, just as you as a media company are doing, creating relationships. We want to help you create relationships with customers when the market comes back and when you open your doors. So there's that. Promotional ideas, if they can sell something online or if they can deliver. So there's that. And then, of course, there are all the others that really, would love to have a voice. What a great opportunity for newspapers to go help local entrepreneurs that are in competition with the big broadband companies, the big cable companies, the big telcos, the big distance learning companies and things like that. There are lots of little companies that have looked in a hateful way at Walmart or at Strayer University or some people they just can't kind of compete with. And now's an opportunity to do that because all those folks are clogged up. Right. So there are two different types of opportunities. I wanted to say one other thing just quickly, Mike. I just got off the phone with a newspaper company and they said all of their sales reps are telling us that they're 100% in contact with advertisers, their current clients. And I said, yeah, that may be true, but I guarantee you probably the majority of those are trying to convince their current clients to not cancel their contract. There is a far bigger opportunity. I mean, this is just the lesson always in a disruption or in a crisis. There is a far bigger opportunity to create market share, not protect what you currently have only. You should do that, yes. But this is an opportunity to reach out to customers that are having relationships with competitors like radio and outdoor and everybody else. This is an opportunity to lead and to steal market share and to grow it, not just to try to hold on to your current advertisers.
Especially now that research is showing, and we know we're in a crisis, that those local news outlets are seeing massive digital growth. I mean, the alternative weeklies obviously are having trouble distributing their print product, but their websites are growing. I mean, there's traffic coming in that could be monetized over a competitor, since if that competitor is not a news site or a news operation, there may be a way of saying, take advantage of this to get that message out. You think that message would work to a small business, or is it sound too opportunistic or into you?
I think it's a message that you should give them, but don't dwell on it, because think of it this way: if you're out there in front of an advertiser who's going, "Oh, what the hell am I going to do? Nobody's coming in the shop," and you go in and you say, "I have more traffic than anything, and it's great, and things are terrific, and people are coming to this site." They don't want to hear that. They want to hear how you can help them. So here's the data, and it's true, and I suggest that you communicate with them, but only briefly.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know how you can help them, not how great your website's doing and that you have even more traffic.
Right.
Nielsen has said that in times of crisis like this, information sites increase about 60%. And it could be a television station as well, not just a website or a newspaper readership. 60%. We're not seeing that. We think that's exaggerated. What we saw from ComScore recently, just last couple days ago, was an increase in news sites, including newspaper sites, of about 33%.
Okay.
So my concern with newspapers would be, and it would be the same with radio and with TV, advertisers kind of equate you with newspapers or with radio, with TV. And so you've got to communicate that, well, we have people, reading the newspaper, of course, but we certainly have very formidable, strong websites. And overall, there's been an increase, I don't know, fill in the blank if you have the number, and you should, or use the national number, an increase overall in website traffic as people are going to our site for this, that, and everything across the board, 33% increase.
Okay.
That's been standard what it is. For TV news sites, by the way, local TV news, the average is 11%.
Really?
Yeah.
That I did not know.
Well, in Seattle, I think it's 38.
Okay.
And that's the highest. It might be 28, but you get the idea. For overall news sites, most of which are newspapers, it's 33%. So people naturally are turning, because they want to see some data and want to see some information, want to see it on their own time, as opposed to, waiting for the TV news to come on. So it makes sense in local communities that probably the newspaper site is a good repository of information, and therefore there's going to be more traffic. Therefore, it's a good idea for the advertisers to put their message there. However, I'll go back to one thing. These advertisers don't want you to be talking about how big your audience is. They want a friend. They want you to empathize. They want to talk about what their issues are. And above all, number one thing is they want ideas. So you should be coming to them with a few ideas.
All right. Would you also suggest a media company be a little bit more forgiving on terms, allow the advertiser to pay the bill in a couple months? Say to them, we understand that this may be a little tough on you economically, but we'll put together some form of a plan so you can market now when it's critical. And is that something you think might work into the system as well?
Well, yes and no. No, you have something of value. Believe in it. Why would you discount it immediately? I mean, for God's sakes, what you have is really valuable. If they spend $10,000 with you, aren't you going to increase their business $50,000 or $100,000?
Well, I wasn't saying discount the rate.
I got it. I understand. I understand. So, I want you, to just say, have a great deal of trust and belief in the value that you have. Watch the advertiser's reaction when you name the price, and act accordingly. But of course, Mike, you need to offer them some level of terms if they're hurting, if they don't have any business coming in the door. But I also want you to be careful with that, because what you provide is of great value. These advertisers are not flat broke, most of them. I hope the ones you're dealing with are not the small restaurant that has 4 people, and they've shut down. That's not where the money is. I'm sorry. They need help, but you really can't help them. It's with the larger businesses that have money to spend readily and are willing to keep that business coming in. And if you need to be flexible on the term, sure, be flexible. But for God's sakes, believe in the value of what you have to sell. You're helping these businesses, and believe that you can actually help them, and it's worth some money.
Any best practices you've come across from customers of yours? Anyone right now? I mean, I know we're at the early stages of this and everybody's formulating plans, getting started, but who's rocking right now? Who could we take a look at and get an idea of what's doing well?
Well, I don't want to name names, because whenever I do, somebody says, why did you disclose that? Or why didn't you name me? So we're dealing with quite a few. I'll tell you just a really simple characteristic, and I won't give you, a whole lot of specifics. Here's the characteristic. The people who are acting right now we had somebody last week, for instance, say, wow, we're thinking about doing, a webinar for our advertisers, and think maybe toward the early part of April. And we said, well, we don't want to do business with you because that might be too late. And they said, well, when do you think we should do them? And we said, well, it's 10 in the morning. How about 4 today? And they said, we can't act that fast. And then I said, I'm sorry, I can be arrogant sometimes. As you know, Mike, I said, well, then you're missing the point. Now is the time to act. So you asked me best practices, who's doing really well. It's the people who are not paralyzed, that are acting and taking a leadership role and moving right now. Those who are calling people into meetings and trying to get everybody on board, the bigger companies, are losing ground, because I guarantee you in another week or maybe 2 weeks, the market will be flooded. Your market will be flooded with everybody trying to help these advertisers. And these advertisers are going to have already picked their partners.
Right.
You get a short window of opportunity. So move. This is the time to move. The other thing, Mike, I'll say is, and this is really important, put somebody positive in charge, somebody who can see things in a very positive way and can maybe put a very positive spin on things, instead of being just kind of paralyzed by all the woes and worries and canceled contracts and things like that. Somebody who can get up in the morning and have a couple cups of coffee and go, we're going to go. This is great. Downturn is a great time for an opportunity. Look for a few people like that to lead the organization. When we see that, and when we see the willingness or the ability of, we got 2 really big newspaper companies that are moving very fast, and they have somebody really positive in each of them in charge, things are going to happen. Things are really going to happen. Now's the time to do it. I don't know how long this crisis is going to last. It might be 2 weeks. It might be 3 months. It might be more. But now really is the time to create those relationships and reach out to non-customers especially.
And build them now. And on the back end of this, we come out stronger. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If we start taking and the other downside, and for competitors, is this can also thin the herd of those in the market that may be competitors. I remember 2008, that was like the final nail in the coffin for Patch, was it not? I mean, we kind of watched them go down. Not that I'm saying I'm wishing ill will to competitors, but the strong will survive through this. This is my message a lot. And
oh, hell, I wish ill will on competitors every day, Mike. It's a good time to be smart, and it's a good time to be energetic. And it's always a good time, but especially right now. Competitors are paralyzed, they're flat-footed, they're ensconced in their systems of doing business. And if you're smaller and hungrier and more energetic and very positive, this is a great time to steal market share. In things plot along, you can see it throughout history, things will plot along some new disruption or something that's occurred for a long period of time, and then it takes an economic trigger for things to really zoom. So with something like promotions, which we knew was sort of plodding along, people were spending less in advertising and more on things that they do themselves, promotions, discounts, contest coupons, designed to create their own relationship with their own audience, which they can now do in digital media. That really zoomed forward. The distance between the amount that advertisers spent on classic forms of advertising in 2008 was almost 1-to-1 with regard to what they were spending in promotions. And then all of a sudden it separated. Now it's 2.5 times what they're spending in advertising is what they're spending in promotions. And we think there's going to be a further curve right now as advertisers go, oh, yeah, these promotions, they bring in leads, they give us something to chirp about, and people respond to them, and they help us create, great relationships.
Sure.
So we think they're going to be doing more and more of these types of promotions.
No, through crisis comes change. And we can take advantage of that now. And let's all keep in mind as well that this virus it's a hyper-local story. And if we can serve those communities and get those stories out, we can build that audience as well as we serve our advertisers. Gordon, what other resources will you be opening up? I know this is a moving target. I'm sure you're waking up every morning with new ideas for Borrell Associates to serve the news publishing industry. But how can people get a hold of you? What other resources do you have available? Where will they find the information you have? Why don't you give us a little?
Just Google Borrell Associates. You go to our website. We have a big annual survey that we do starts in April through June. We'll be doing it again. And people have said, oh, aren't you going to not do that survey? So if you want us to survey your advertisers and be a part of that survey, go to our website. I think you click on a link that says surveys or research, and you'll see detail about that. Or just send an email to info@BorrellAssociates.com. But Mike, what we discovered is that advertisers, particularly now, strange thing, maybe they have more time on their hands, I don't know, are more willing to respond to surveys. We have the largest survey of local advertisers in the country, and get this, it is over 40 questions and takes 45 minutes. Would you do that? I wouldn't. That's just crazy. At the end, we ask them, and we get thousands of them to respond to this. And the reason they respond to it is we're going to give them the results of the survey. They're thirsty for information. At the end of this, get this, we say, hey, would you like us to survey you every month? And 75% of them say yes. So we're building it. So what are we doing? We have that group as a panel that we survey every month. We just ask them a set of questions around the coronavirus, how they're acting, what do they think is going to happen, sort of an economic barometer thing. At the end of that survey, and if you go to our website and sign up for the research alerts, you'll get this in about another week and a half. We ask them, what can local media companies do to help you during this crisis? So we'll get those results out. We'll send them out free. We are, like everybody else, just really trying to respond with relevant information. We're a research company. We're not an advisory. We're not a thought leader or any of that stuff. We're a research company. It's based in fact. We know what's happening, and we don't put anything out there unless we can prove it. So we're going to be putting out information over the next several weeks. You'll see it across, the LinkedIn pages that we have and every place else, and a research alert list, stuff that we think will help both advertisers, which, are the clients of our clients, and our own clients.
Excellent. And as I said, the webinar you're doing for America's newspapers will be shared on our common website, MediaVirusWatch.com. MediaVirusWatch also has a place for all research we curate from companies like Borrell. With your permission, as soon as we see that stuff you're offering for free, we're going to make sure we get the message out and get it to our readers. Gordon, thanks for your valuable time.
Thanks, Mike.
Contributions to the industry. And let's check in with you in a couple of weeks and see how things are going.
Mike, thank you for taking over charge of editor and publisher. You've done the industry a great service. I was really, really happy to see that. So congratulations to you. What a great magazine, a great institution, and thanks for keeping it going.
Well, #blushing. Thanks a lot, Gordon. I appreciate your time.
Thanks.